Yo!
Yo, what's good, man?
Long time no see.
Long time. Man, I'm starving.
Where do you think you're going?
What?
You know what time it is.
Oh! I'm Cal.
And I'm Anthony, and we're brothers, we're Center brothers, and we're creatives who love dance.
We grew up in Swansea, and Swansea is a beautiful place for creativity and for dance, and we're just so excited to share this city with you. So welcome to Dance Passion Swansea.
This beautiful city on the sea has created so much over the years. So tonight, we want to share our city with you. We've transformed it into a stage for all kinds of dancers, all connected by one thing: the joy of dance.
Shall I go first?
Yeah.
Yep. For me, it's the ultimate ballet score. Everybody knows that music, and it's just huge. With Romeo and Juliet, it's a tricky one because we were thinking, what could we do? How could we make this production Welsh for a start? Because we're a Welsh company, we wanted to make it not just another Romeo and Juliet, we wanted to really ingrain it in Wales.
When you explain to somebody that we're going to have Welsh clog dancing in the piece, I think potentially the image it conjures up is very different. But I think when
honestly,
you see it, you think, to us, it does make total sense that it's there.
Amy's exactly right. What you're saying, we're doing Romeo and Juliet. It's a Welsh Romeo and Juliet. We've got clog dancing in it. It's like, what?
whenever I go home to Swansea, there's this amazing sense of pride that I get. But I think now Wales feels a bit like my kind of quiet little secret that I hold close to me, that, you know, if you met me now, you wouldn't know that I was Welsh. You probably wouldn't know that I was born and brought up in Swansea. So it feels a bit like this lovely kind of secret that I have, and I can share with people if I want to or not. When I was writing the letter, it was a really cathartic way to reconnect with Wales, because I think, you know, I haven't lived there since I was 11. I haven't got a particularly strong Welsh accent. In lots of ways, I feel quite disconnected from it. So it was a really nice opportunity to just take a moment to really think about what Wales means and how it informs my identity now.
Dwi'n gwybod mae e wedi bod yn amser hir. Mae'n flin dy fi am beidio ysgrifennu'n gynharach. Rwy'n meddwl ei fod yn amser I fi ddweud diolch I ti. Fel bachgen gyda'r ymwyliadau cartref, o ti'n gafael yn dyn yno fi gyda phŵer dy ddwylo meddal. Rai o'n hoff amserau o'n nhw, hyd yn oed pan o ti'n addo llonydd, ond yn dod ag anref yn y tonau rolio. Roedd deallt y ffyrdd yn orfoleddus ac yn anodd. O dwi'n gadael trywydd ar dywl, ond hebddyn nhw, fyddai heddiw yn llai. Rhywle llai saff, llai I ddychwelyd ato, cartref genedigol. Mae'r hiraeth dal I fod, weithiau, I fod mor bell I ffwrdd, a plethoed mewn gwe gwahanol, ond dwi'n teimlo dy gysur mewn llefydd newydd. Maen nhw'n fatgoffa o thawelon haf a gwallt hallt. Wyt ti'n cofio'r oriau yn y twyni a'r myth o wiberod? Roedd y medr gyda ti I ddal cymaint o funudau. Cariad y chwiorydd. Arosion oer. Nofio liw nos, y llonydd a'r anrefn teuluol. Does dim syniad dy fi sut nes di fe. Diolch. Cysondeb wyt ti. Anno troi'r amser I ddal ac I ddychwelyd atat.
I knew I really wanted to create a piece of dance for the coastline of Wales, because I think it's where I I hold probably my most kind of treasured memories of my childhood. I think the best way for me to describe how I'm able to express myself with dance is as if it's another language. There are things that I feel very, very comfortable saying through dance that I would probably really struggle to say to someone face to face with my voice. And I think the more fluent I've become in, I guess, the language of dance, the wider breadth of things I've been able to express.
Breaking and hip-hop generally is kind of rooted in expressing yourself, community, having fun and kind of connecting with like-minded people. It's about celebrating who you are and the culture that you come from. And that's really what kind of drew me towards it. And I think you can come across breakers anywhere in the world and sort of have that immediate thing in common. And you have that sort of immediate connection, which is nice.
The special thing about dance was that it was a chance to express and be honest and clear, because language is such a difficult thing. You can get nervous about it, about trying to find the right words, about trying to be intellectual, about all those sort of things. But dance, you just move your body, and your body can speak the best poem or you know, give the best speech, because it's just so instinctual and just so raw.
There's definitely a sense of nostalgia coming home. It's where especially Swansea here, like I grew up here, I was born and raised here. There's a lot that I'm coming home to, and we realised that it's actually been 10 years since we've actually danced together, which is beautiful that we were able to almost grow up, come apart and then come back together.
We've got a long history of being friends and dancing when we were younger, and this work kind of represents that relationship as it's grown up and as we are now a bit older. So yeah, it's got that kind of sense of friendship and yeah, togetherness, which is really nice. I started dancing in Wales when I was about 4 years old. I think it was the first time I really, really felt a sense of who I was and what I liked to say and do as a young person. And throughout my early years and teenage years, I really found that my closest friends or my peer network through dance, it was that sense of community where I felt really truly heard and listened to, and that my voice, even though I was maybe just a teenager, had a few ideas, was really listened to and nurtured. So I think, yeah, I always relate Wales and dance into finding that sense of friendship.
I went to the Royal Ballet School in London, and when I was in my 4th year, I landed a jump and I felt one of my knees click, and I was like, this doesn't feel quite right. And I went through a period of quite a lot of difficulty where I wasn't able to do classes at all. I was having difficulty with things like just walking, even bending my leg was really difficult. And then just over a year later, I was also involved in a road traffic accident that was really quite serious. And so that compounded everything. And then I then ended up with very, very limited use of my left leg. And I kind of thought, you know, dancing is completely done. Like, there's not going to be a way back from this. And that was very, very difficult for me to accept at that time. Passionately Defiant uses elements of ballet and Latin and ballroom with a bit of a twist. I kind of wanted to rebel a little bit against the stereotypical view of classical ballet, because I'm probably what you wouldn't consider a stereotypical ballet dancer. I've been told a lot that things aren't possible or that I can't do something just because of my disability. You know, people have said you'd never dance with the Royal Ballet, and I've been very fortunate that I have, so I've shown that. And I want to keep showing people that it is possible, because the most amazing thing that could happen for me is that someone in the audience who might be a wheelchair user or might be a little bit different or might have a different accessible need sees me on stage and thinks I can do that as well. If they see that and they feel like that, then I feel like that's a job well done for me, and that makes me really happy.
Black Victorians is inspired by an exhibition called Black Chronicles 2, and it was really looking at the first evidence of black people as photography was being developed. I looked at the images and just thought, these are images of black and Asian people which I didn't realize existed. When photography began, there was very little evidence of black people in those photographs. So this is about the part of our history that has been airbrushed from society for over 100 years. I was just trying to imagine what it must have been like for these characters, and knowing that they would have come from the African continent. So there really was something about yearning to go home, remembering home, what it felt like when they found each other in a small community and could celebrate home together. So that's really what the piece is about. One of the characters I chose was Kalulu, who was a personal servant. He was 11. In the photograph, when I look at him, I just imagine what it must be like to be standing still for perhaps 2 hours being photographed as a child who probably wanted to run around and play and be free.
why such distance between us? And when you arrived on such a monotonous wind, is any of this comfortable?
Whenever we talk about black history in Britain, we either talk about slavery or we talk about Windrush, and there's no in between, and there's, you know, as if we never existed. So when I saw these portraits and realised that it was black people here in the 1800s, it really was important to me that that story was told, almost to close that gap. And also, it's about my own journey, about where I'm from. So I've got this heritage, which is the Caribbean, St. Lucia, and I was born in Britain. So this is where I belong. This is my home. And sadly, there are times when I'm, you know, made to feel that I don't belong here. And actually being able to tell this story and discovering these images and realizing even before my time, 100+ years before I was ever here, these black people were already here having a life. It gives me a stronger sense of belonging.
Yes, I am away from my place of birth, but I have my family here now. I have children here, I have my husband here. So Wales feels very much like my home. And even, you know, my mum's been over from Australia and, you know, oh, it rains so much in Wales. But even then, I'm like, but it's green and it's lush. And, you know, this is where all the words from Dylan Thomas come to fruition. This is why we live in this beautiful landscape. It rains, and that's Wales. And I embrace that now, as opposed to like going, where's the sun?
Growing up kind of near the Brecon Beacons, I've always had quite an affinity and a passion for forests and lakes and just nature generally. And I think that's definitely kind of fed into my creativity a lot. I really enjoy kind of placing breaking a dance form that you tend to associate with kind of being more inner city. I like to kind of place that dance form in more kind of naturalistic environments. I find that way you can kind of use it to tell different sort of stories. So I really enjoy kind of bringing the contrast of breaking and more natural environments together.
taught to clog dance by my dad was actually my idea to begin with. All my friends at the time were going to ballet lessons or tap lessons after school or on the weekend, and I knew that my dad could clog dance. So I really just gathered 6 of my friends, and they all turned up one Sunday. And I said, right, you're going to teach us how to clog dance. And so that's what he did.
And the friends were not part of the deal. I just thought I was going to teach Bethan to clog dance, and then she turns up with a friend, following week another friend, and I ended up with a girls' clog dance group. The thing is about Welsh clog dancing, it's very much freestyle. I know in other traditions you get taught things and it will have a name. You know, in England you might have the Sam Sherry routine or the Pat Tracy routine, who are great English clog dancers. But in Wales, you wouldn't do that. You'd have to make your own step up. And in fact, if you've taken your steps or your ideas from someone else, you don't admit it. You just pretend it's yours, because it's all about doing it yourself.
We've all sort of over the years developed our own steps, but they always sort of come from whatever came before. So my dad will have developed all his on steps that he already knew that were within the tradition and just develop them further, you know, adding an extra few clicks here and there and playing with rhythms. And then I was taught all of his steps, all of the old traditional steps, and we all have kind of done the same. So I've taken his steps now and I've developed them a bit further in my own way. I've been doing it for so long that I don't feel like I think about what is coming next, or what step I'm going to do next, or what sound I'm going to do next, because I know what my feet can do. More often than not, 99% of the time, I know the tune, I know what happens next in the tune, so I don't need to react sort of in real time because I already know what's going to happen. dancing for me is just something that I've just always known. It's just part of my normal life, and sometimes, you know, when someone asks, oh, you know, what do you do? And I tell them I'm a Welsh clog dancer, I forget how odd that sounds, because it is just a normal, everyday thing for me that I've always done. I go to the shops, I get in the car, do a bit of clog dancing, clean the house and go to bed.
It's so nice to return back to where you started, because it really shows you how far you've come, where your roots are, what first, you know, inspired you to be a dancer. So it holds a lot, and it can be very overwhelming to come back to Wales and dance because it feels so special and rare sometimes. But when you do, there's also that sense of, wow, like, look at this amazing place that I've grown up in. I found my identity as a dancer and as an artist, and now I like to think that I've blossomed out into the world a little bit. So to come back and return that into the place that we started is really beautiful and feels so nice as well. A sense of home, which we love.
Wales as a whole is a very homely place for me. Even though I moved when I was about 8 or 9, I still spend a great deal of time in Wales and probably always will. It's just a very familiar, kind of warm place for me.
So the word hiraeth actually doesn't have a direct English translation, but it means it's something similar to longing or homesickness, particularly in the context to Wales and Welsh culture. I spent I would say almost every summer on the coast, in and out of the sea. It's where we learned to surf as kids. It's where we camped. I had my first job in a cafe just along the beach. And it's an amazing, amazing part of the world, and I really miss it.
Leaving and coming back, I definitely feel like my home is here, and it's almost like visiting a friend. Almost, it's like I'm going away, but I'm coming back, and it's always here, and it's always the same, and I always have the fond memories that I've had. So yeah, definitely a sense of nostalgic. Cute.
I've always loved Dylan Thomas. It's in, I think, every Welsh person, it's in their soul, to be honest. And the Fernhill especially is such a beautiful, life-affirming poem. Of course, it's acknowledging the darkness in life, the melancholy, which is what Dylan Thomas does so wonderfully. You know, it really gets you. But for me, yeah, it's the beauty of it. It's the hope, it's the happiness, it's the optimism that really resonates with me.
As a company, we often use words as stimulus for movement. I mean, Dylan Thomas, I defy anyone to read those words and not have some kind of vision or some sort of takeaway from that. So we just try to then extend that into our bodies in a way that everyone can understand. And I think that's kind of the tapestry of life. We wanted that Fernhill to be a celebration of life. So we didn't want it to be too much of just about one person or two people. It's actually a group. And so at the end, we see everybody come together as we do in life.
Now as I was young and easy under the apple boughs, about the lilting house and happy as the grass was green, the night above the dingle starry, time let me hail and climb, golden in the heydays of his eyes. And honoured among wagons I was prince of the apple towns, and once below a time I lordly had the trees and leaves trail with daisies and barley down the rivers of the windfall light. And as I was green and carefree, famous among the barns about the happy yard and singing as the farm was home, in the sun that is young once only, time let me play and be golden in the mercy of his means. And green and golden I was huntsman and herdsman, the calves sang to my horn, the foxes on the hills barked clear and cold, and the Sabbath rang slowly in the pebbles of the holy streams. All the sun long it was running. It was lovely, the hayfields high as the house, the tunes from the chimneys. It was air and playing, lovely and watery and fire green as grass. And nightly under the simple stars, as I rode to sleep, the owls were bearing the farm away. All the moon long I heard blessed among stables, the nightjars flying with the ricks, and the horses flashing into the dark. And then to awake, and the farm, like a wanderer white with the dew, come back, the cock on his shoulder, it was all shining, it was Adam and maiden. The sky gathered again, and the sun grew round that very day. So it must have been after the birth of the simple light, in the first spinning place, the spellbound horses walking warm out of the whinnying green stable on to the fields of praise. And honoured among foxes and pheasants by the gay house, under the new-made clouds, and happy as the heart was long, in the sun born over and over, I ran my heedless ways. My wishes raced through the house, high, hey, and nothing I cared at my sky-blue trades, that time allows in all his tuneful turning, so few and such morning songs, before the children green and golden follow him out of grace. Nothing I cared in the lamb-white days, that time would take me up to the swallow-thronged loft by the shadow of my hand, in the moon that is always rising, nor that riding to sleep I should hear him fly with the high fields, and wake to the farm forever fled from the childless land. Oh, as I was young and easy in the mercy of his means, time held me green and dying, though I sang in my chains like the sea.
but still